Everything hinges on this. After some tough news for Cavs fans earlier this week, we have to pivot to next steps. We have to figure out who will step up as the injury bug continues to plague the team in this offseason. And I break it all down for you right here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cavs Digest. I'm your host, Darayus Sethna. Thanks so much for joining me today. Before we get into today's video, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Cavs Digest YouTube channel. We want to keep hearing your thoughts, your comments, your reactions to all of the news that we've been putting out here over the last few months. Regular season is getting closer and closer. We cannot wait. The next thing you know, September will be here and we'll be talking about training camp. It's going to be fun. I'm excited, so make sure you stay involved to the show, like this video, and subscribe to our Cavs Digest YouTube channel. So as you know, it's been a rough week here in Cleveland when it comes to some of the news that's broken out. As we know, earlier in the week, the guard Max Strus, it was official, underwent surgery to a fracture in his left foot that he sustained after a workout or during a workout. And here's the big stumper in all this. He's going to miss about 3 to 4 months. So he'll probably won't be back till I think January, maybe around Christmas. Could he possibly be back for that Christmas Day game against the New York Knicks? But it's looking like about around January, maybe even All-Star break, is when Max Strus could return for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's a huge piece. Obviously, he's not the caliber of someone like a Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley or Darius Garland, but he's been critical for the Cavs over the last couple of years, right? This is someone who we've talked about as, the swingman, right? Can play inside, can play outside, has a nice jump shot. That's really why the Cavs brought him here, and he's certainly delivered when he's been healthy, right? Really is just that spot shooter, doesn't need the ball in his hands, can come off the bench, can start, can do whatever you need him to do, feels that great utility role, in a sense, does Strus. But guess what? He's not going to be playing basketball for quite some time. So that means the Cavs have to pivot. We as Cavs fans, need to talk about who is going to step up. The Cavaliers need to figure out who is going to be that crucial piece to fill in that starting role with Max Strus' absence. And I have the perfect answer, and this is why I still think the Cavaliers are in good shape. It's because of DeAndre Hunter. It is now his time to shine. This is really the moment, going to be a pivotal moment in DeAndre Hunter's career. Now, that's if Kenny Atkinson and the staff go to DeAndre Hunter and want him to start and want him to kind of take on that role. And if that's the case, this is going to be the biggest moment in DeAndre Hunter's career thus far, right? Because let's face it, in Atlanta when he was with Trae Young, they had that one run to go into the conference finals a few years ago. But ever since then, there's really never been any major expectations for the Atlanta Hawks. And, that's obviously not to diss or anything, but the East has just gotten a lot better. You've got teams like Boston, Miami, the Cavs, and now ascending teams like the Knicks and Indiana. It's just you never really take Atlanta seriously, right? Or you never think of them as one of those top contenders in the East. Now DeAndre Hunter is on a team who is favored to make the NBA Finals. Now, some of those betting odds might change a little bit here with some of these injuries. However, the Cavs' depth, I really think, is what sets them apart from so many other teams in the NBA, and that starts with DeAndre Hunter. When we look at some of the stats for Hunter, these are numbers, you have to admit, as good as they are, they're going to have to increase, right? That 27 minutes per game, I could see Kenny Atkinson, if he chooses to start Hunter, increasing those minutes from about 27 to 31, 32. Probably going to have to be around 17 to 20 points per game as well. I think 4 rebounds could still be a good mark for him. But those assists, now he's going to probably, with him being a starter, he's going to find more minutes. So he's going to have to get his teammates a little bit more involved. So I think it would be great if he could maybe increase that assist range from about 1.5, 1.4 as you see there, to maybe about 3 or 4 would be ideal. And then it could be those bottom two rows, the field goal percentage, the 3-point percentage, could drop a little bit just due to the mere fact that he is getting more minutes, so he's probably going to be taking a lot more shots. And obviously, as we know, not all of those shots are going to go in. So I think those numbers could drop a little bit, but I think that is because of the elevated roles and responsibilities that DeAndre Hunter would have if he were to be in Max Strus' shoes as that starter, as that starting wingman for the Cleveland Cavaliers heading into this season. So when we kind of go back to Hunter and what all of this means, I was doing a little bit of research, and here's the great thing about the Cavs. Like I said, they're deep, and DeAndre Hunter didn't really start that many games once he arrived in Cleveland after the trade back in February with the Atlanta Hawks. In fact, DeAndre Hunter only started in 5 games for the Cavs last year in the regular season. Now, he averaged about 16.4 points per game, and he's certainly capable of doing that in next season. And if he obviously starts, like I said, those numbers are going to have to increase. Now, the 16.4 points per game, I will say those numbers are a little bit fudged because he did have scoring outputs of 32 and 23. The other 3 scoring outputs in his starts with the Cavs last season were either 12 points or less. So the numbers, like I said, are fudged a little bit, but that certainly doesn't take away from DeAndre Hunter's abilities. I think he's a perfect guy who you can fit next to Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, guys who need the ball in their hands. DeAndre Hunter is similar to Max Strus. We talked about it last month. Very similar in the way that he doesn't need the ball in his hands. You don't have to give him the ball for a few possessions, but he'll still be locked in, still play defense, and still most of the time knock down those shots you need him to knock down to, along with getting to the free throw line, which I think will be critical as well for the Cavs this season. And then you also look at DeAndre Hunter. I think he's just that perfect and kind of in-between player in the sense, right? So let's say that you have that starting backcourt. Once Garland is healthy as well, you have Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell in your backcourt, obviously, and then you have Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen in your front court. I think DeAndre Hunter is that perfect player who can kind of mend the gap between the front court and the back court for the Cavs, right? Because he's a great perimeter player, can shoot the basketball, but he's also able to get to the basket and contribute down low. So he would fit perfect in the Cavs system. That really would be a top-heavy starting 5 with the 2 elite players in your front court and in your back court, right? And then you have probably one of the best 6th men in the entire NBA, in his usual role, but now in the starting lineup, can see his role elevate. I would, in a sense, also see his game elevate. So I think, honestly, despite the Strus injury, the Cavs are still in good shape, right? The only deficit this truly has for Cleveland is the fact that it's going to hurt their bench right now. So if you have, theoretically, DeAndre Hunter starting, that could have ramifications for the bench in terms of who's going to give Cleveland that punch in the second unit, right? There's going to be a lot more pressure on Lonzo Ball. And again, if he stays healthy, what's that going to look like, right? This is another player, and Matt's talked about it as well, who's had a very long injury history in his 8-year NBA career, right? So Sam Merrill, right? He's not really a ball handler. All he really is a spot shooter. And although he shoots the ball well, that lack of ball handling ability could pose a problem for the Cavs' second unit. And then, Larry Nance Jr. really, to me, is more kind of a side piece more than someone who you could build the offense around in that second unit. So really the deficit would impact the Cavs' bench, but I do think Kenny Atkinson can find a way to figure it out, right? This is, Coach of the Year, has the talent, obviously, in that starting lineup. But, this is going to be interesting. The Cavs are going to have to do some flipping around, figuring things out. Maybe you allow some of the younger guys, the Craig Porter Jr.'s, the Jalen Tysons of the world, to get a lot more minutes here, see what they're capable of, because at this point it really is all hands on deck, especially with the Strus injury now, and with Garland not even being in the starting lineup to start next season with that toe injury, still recovering from the toe surgery. There's a lot of question marks regarding the Cavs, especially to start the year. I'm assuming DeAndre Hunter would definitely be in the starting lineup to begin the 25-26 campaign, but you never know. So there's certainly a lot on the line here, but this is huge. DeAndre Hunter is going to have to take that next step now with the Max Strus injury. I'm really excited to see what happens there. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Should DeAndre Hunter even be starting? Is somebody else on the Cavs bench who maybe should start so DeAndre Hunter can stay on the bench? There's a lot to break down here, a lot to kind of play around with on this Cavs roster. So I want to hear what you have to say. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Cavs Digest YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time for more Cavs news. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.